They helped elect President Obama in 2008. They typically vote in favor of Democratic issues. Even House Speaker Pelosi says the party's final week get-out-the-vote effort is all about them. Our number one story, why then are more women still supporting the GOP? The latest New York Times CBS News poll showing Republicans have a 4-point advantage with women voters, marking a shift from last month when Democrats were ahead by 7, suggesting Republicans were able to convince undecideds. There's the Republican argument on the issue of choice. At least 3 gubernatorial candidates oppose abortion, even in cases of rape or incest, plus 7 Senate candidates, 71 running for the House. The party that prides itself on so-called family values, 111 Republican incumbents and candidates support abolishing the Department of Education, not to mention the significant number of Republican candidates vowing to repeal the Affordable Health Care Act, which would mean no guarantee of maternity care and no coverage for children with pre-existing conditions. Last night, one of those Republican candidates, Senator Vitter of Louisiana, spent much of the night defending his record on women at a debate sponsored by a coalition of women's groups. Vitter explained that he voted against the Lilly Ledbetter Fair Pay Act because it was a trial lawyer bonanza. He called his involvement in a prostitution ring a serious sin. When questioned on why an aide remained on his staff for 2 years after facing criminal charges related to an assault on a girlfriend, Vitter explained because there were very difficult stories from both sides. He's ahead by 17. Today, the spouse of a Republican Senate candidate is out defending the family business, its treatment of women. Vince McMahon, of the wrestling guy, the husband of Linda of Connecticut, says he's fed up with, quote, malicious and misleading attacks on his wrestling empire, launching an internet campaign. Presumably, it's where one can stand up for his right to order a female performer to get on all fours and bark like a dog. Here is Linda McMahon defending this with ABC's Christiane Amanpour.
As a senator, if you could stop it, would you stop that kind of depiction against women on the public airways? Would you at least lobby or campaign against it?
Well, I do believe in the First Amendment rights. And content.
So you don't think there's anything wrong with it?
Well, content providers are clearly creating scenarios. From an entertainment point of view, I think that you either elect to go to a movie or you elect to watch a program. So I'm a strong proponent of First Amendment rights.
Joining me now, the spokeswoman for Emily's List, Jess McIntosh. Thanks for your time tonight, Ms. McIntosh.
Thanks for having me.
This looks like another example of the GOP convincing people to vote against their own interests. How do you explain this latest polling that pertains to women?
It's alarming, certainly. Unfortunately, we're not seeing this when you poll actual races with specific candidates and localities. So if you're talking Murray v. Rossi, the gender gap is still very much alive. Women still very much favor Democrats. The trick this year is going to be turning them out to the polls, and that's what we really need to focus on. In some cases, the gender gap is more pronounced than usual, and I think it's because you see Republican candidates like the ones you were just discussing who are more anti-woman even than the usual GOP.
Well, in that context, which would seem obvious to anybody who looked at any of the messages from either side in this equation, has Democratic messaging not resonated with women for some reason this year, or has Republican and Tea Party messaging simply been successful in keeping women from knowing about their actual message?
Yeah, I mean, the truth is Democratic women are less enthusiastic about voting this year. So the good news is what we've learned at Emily's List through our research is it doesn't actually take that much to motivate them. They need to know that their vote has implications and that they have the chance to defeat a candidate who has a radical, extreme, anti-woman or anti-family agenda. I think the news today, for the most part, isn't really speaking to Democratic women. They're not angry. They're not Tea Partiers. They like guaranteed maternity care. They like that their kids can't get thrown off the rolls if they have asthma. They don't want to see these things rolled back. So there's a lot of noise out there, and I don't think that the information is necessarily reaching them. Our research told us that they need to hear it from a source they trust, and that's why women making phone calls to other women over the next 4 days is so important.
Well, I was just going to ask you because yesterday in a conference call with reporters, the Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi, and the Democratic House Congressional Campaign Leader, Mr. Van Hollen, both said that the key to however well or poorly the Democrats do from this point in, particularly in the House, women. Is it too late for the Democrats to influence them, or is it has to be in the grassroots way that you just suggested?
I mean, first off, they're entirely correct. And second, no. Get out the vote is about the final days and hours. And like at Emily's List, we have been on the phones for weeks. We have the biggest member mobilization in our history. You can join us at emilyslist.org. These women need to hear from sources that they trust that their vote matters. And nothing is more powerful than women talking to women.
Jess McIntosh of Emily's List, many thanks, and there are your instructions. Get on the phone. Thank you kindly.
Thank you.